My name is Wendy Mason, and I'm a volunteer with BCTV. I live in the apartments over here on High Street, and about 8 p.m. last night, I noticed smoke coming out of the Brooks Hotel, and just started seeing flames and fire trucks arrive, and began to take footage with my camera. I took some video, and I took some still shots throughout the evening from about 9 p.m. on to at least 3 a.m., and they weren't done fighting yet at that point. I first saw the smoke, and my first reaction was, well, this is definitely not just a drill, because that happens quite often in these apartments downtown anyway, or somebody's burning toast. But as soon as I saw some flames coming out of the top cupola of the building, then I knew this was something much more serious. My boyfriend and I started seeing more fire trucks from other communities arriving, and realized that they were expecting this to probably be a big ordeal. So it kind of, I definitely turned into horror at the whole situation. Just thinking about the number of people that ended up being displaced from their homes, the businesses affected by the water damage and the smoke damage underneath, even the community radio station. There's so much in that building and the history of it that's paramount to Brattleboro that it became just this horrifying thing to see it up in flames like that. I have a little Sony point and shoot, so I was hanging out my window actually, taking some photos very safely, and decided after a while that I needed to get out and take some footage from the ground, and so I moved around quite a bit over the next few hours from Main Street into the Harmony parking lot and back and forth just as it progressed. There was definitely multiple times people seemed to think, including the firefighters, that they had things under control. It seemed like just smoke and no fire for quite a while, but then it would flare up again, and probably the wind had something to do with that, but it was just amazing to see. My apartment overlooks the Brooks house, and it happened to be a full moon that night, so it was actually really creepy and kind of foreboding, watching the moon slowly rise up over the Brooks house that was on fire at the time, so I did get some shots of the moon and the fire. I think overall everybody's a bit shaken. Despite the damage that's been done to the building and the rebuilding that the community is going to have to rally around, at least we know that nobody was injured. Everybody was cleared out of their apartments. Even apparently all the pets were saved. And so that's just one thing we can all be thankful for.
So what can you tell us?
Well, obviously it's a terrible tragedy for Brattleboro, and as a kid that was born in this town, I can't tell you, first of all, how grateful I am that no one was hurt, what an extraordinary team our firefighters and mutual aid did to stop this fire. But this is a huge blow to our downtown, and it's obviously a huge tragedy for Brattleboro. This is the historic building in Brattleboro. The stagecoach used to run from this hotel, the Brooks Hotel, to Putney, up north of here. So this is a huge blow. But with every tragedy, there's an opportunity. And we've been down before, and we've gotten up, and we will again. I want to remind you that when I was a kid in this town in the 1970s, when Norm Chase came to town, the first floor had the hotel pharmacy and some stores and a few establishments, and all the other spaces of the former hotel were empty. They still had the beds and the furniture from the hotel, but it was totally unused. And Chase came up and said, "I've done projects like this before. You don't need to tear them out, you need to build them up." And that's the kind of spirit we're going to need to fight this fire. Well, just want to say that we're lucky to live in Vermont. where communities come together in tragedies to turn tragedies into opportunities. And first of all, we're extraordinarily grateful that the firefighters got everybody out safe. No smoke, no smoke inhalation, no heat damage. Everyone's safe. 59 families, 10 businesses out safe. Secondly, we're going to work together as a team to rebuild this downtown as quickly as we know how, in a Vermont spirit of good old hard work, creativity, imagination, and sticking together to get it done.
Have you actually talked to Jonathan Chase, the owner?
Yes, and he's here. He's actually going to go meet with insurers now, but Jonathan is involved and very much wants to rebuild and make sure that we get Brattleboro back on track. Well, if you look up at the very top in back of me, you'll notice that there's a bow on the street side towards the top floor, and you almost have to stand closer to the building to see it. But there is a bow leading out to the street side. That's obviously of concern, because if it comes down, it's coming down in the street. We need to get the street opened up as quickly as possible. So right now there are engineers in there. People are trying to figure out how severe structural damage is. What we have said is, obviously, don't use a wrecking ball unless you absolutely have to. And let's not forget the Wilder block. When the Wilder block burned several years ago, the first response was, bring in the wrecker ball, we're going to have to take it down. Look at it today. So I think the town of Brattleboro, the state, the firefighters, engineers are working together to make sure that we don't make any bad judgments as we try to figure out how bad the damage is.